Today we're going to be meal prepping Japanese curry. Japanese curry is, in my opinion, the superior curry over Indian or Thai curry. It's very easy to make. Here's how I do it. As with any recipe I have that uses rice, the first thing I do is put that rice into the rice cooker and get it started. In this particular video, I'm making 10 meals, so I'm using 7.5 cups of cooked rice, which is roughly 3 to 4 cups of dry rice, depending on what kind you use. My rice of choice for meal prepping is cal roast rice. It's a short grain rice. I find it the best because it doesn't dry out in the fridge over the week. I don't like using long grain rice for meal prep. Wash that rice until the water runs clear and then get it started. If you're not using a rice cooker and you plan to do a lot of meal prepping in the future, I highly recommend just buying one. Next, you're going to chop all of your vegetables. This recipe calls for onions, potatoes, and carrots. I'm going to start by cutting my onion into a dice. We're using one medium sweet onion, or about 200 grams. Using a sharp knife when you are prepping your vegetables makes all the difference when it comes to speed. If you don't have a sharp knife, go get one. Peel and cut 1 pound or 454 grams of russet potatoes into a large dice. You don't really need uniform cuts here, so don't spend a lot of time trying to make it perfect. If some are bigger than the others, it's not going to be a huge deal. It's all going into a stew anyway. Peel and cut 1 pound or 454 grams of carrots into a large dice. The way I like to do this is to cut down the length of the carrot to create something flat to lay against the cutting board, and then cut across it to make half moons out of the carrots. Again, don't worry so much about perfection here, just get them chopped. To start the cooking process, heat some oil in a large stock pot over medium-high heat and add the onions to brown. Once those onions have had a bit of time to develop color, add in 4 tablespoons or about 24 grams of curry powder and allow it to toast in the oils. You can add a bit more oil here if you feel like it's necessary. Try to keep stirring that curry powder around so it doesn't burn. Make room in the bottom of the pot, add a bit more oil again if necessary, and then add your chicken. You're going to use 3 pounds or about 1.36 kilos of boneless, skinless chicken thighs. Try to add it to the pot smooth side down to promote proper browning. You're not going to be able to fit 3 pounds of chicken thighs into a regular sized stock pot where all those pieces of chicken are touching the cooking surface to create good browning. Some of them aren't going to have that, and that's okay. That's one of the sacrifices we make with batch cooking and meal prep in a regular sized kitchen. Sometimes our technique takes a backseat in order to be more time efficient. After a few minutes, you can turn that chicken over so that the other side gets a chance to get some browning as well, and then add water to cover the top of the chicken. I think I added about 2 cups of water here. You don't need to drown it, just add water to the level so that's the same height as the chicken. Allow that chicken to cook in the water for around 10 minutes in order to finish the cooking process. If any of your chicken is sticking out of the water and not completely submerged, you can flip it over halfway through and make sure that it gets cooked throughout. So after about 10 minutes, that chicken should be done. You can pull it out of that pot and set it on a plate and allow it to cool. Just pull out the chicken, allow the water to come off of it. We need to keep all that water in the pot so we can cook our vegetables. Once that chicken's gone out of the pot, add in your potatoes, add in your carrots. We're going to stew these together until they have cooked down and softened. Just like when we cook the chicken, you're going to have to add more water here to make sure that we are covering those vegetables. I added about 2.5 cups. You want to add just enough so that it covers the top of the potatoes and carrots and allows them to boil in that stew. Now you're going to throw a lid on top of that pot and allow those to cook for 10 to 15 minutes. While that's stewing, you can prepare your broccoli. You can just throw this into the pot with the stew. I kept it separate just so it looks nice, but all I did for this was throw it in the microwave. Putting the broccoli into the curry with the potatoes and the carrots and allowing it to stew together is absolutely preferred for flavor purposes, but if you care about the aesthetic, then leave it separate so you have some nice greenery in the dish. Another step to be completed while your potatoes and your carrots are finishing cooking in the stew is to cut your chicken into bite-sized pieces and then season it lightly with salt. Around this time, it's likely your vegetables will have finished cooking, so you can pull the lid off that pot, put a fork into one of those potatoes and see if it's soft. If it is done. You are ready to move on. To thicken the curry, we're going to use a cornstarch slurry. So mix together 3 tablespoons or 24 grams of cornstarch and 3 tablespoons or 45 grams of cold water. Slowly add that to the curry mixture, making sure to stir constantly, and it will thicken up nicely. Traditional Japanese curry uses a roux made of oil and flour to thicken, but to make it more macro-friendly, we use the cornstarch. Add 2 tablespoons or 30 grams of soy sauce for flavor, and then you can add all of your chicken and those juices into the pot, stir it around, season with salt and pepper to taste. I use boneless, skinless chicken thighs in this recipe because they're fattier and they taste better, but if you wanted to make this even more macro-friendly, you could make one easy swap of changing those chicken thighs out for chicken breasts. It's going to be leaner, less calories, and more protein. Now you can plate everything up. Each dish gets 3/4 of a cup of cooked rice, or about 113 grams. As I always say, if you're in a situation where you need perfect measurements, weigh and measure all of these ingredients. If you're like me and you're not really worried about that, the strategy I take to make plating go faster is to measure out the first dish of rice and then just mirror that amount in the remaining dishes. The curry and the broccoli are easier to plate because they just get evenly distributed throughout all the containers. Eyeballing it is going to be plenty sufficient for the majority of you, so don't spend a lot of time trying to make these exact. It's not going to make that big of a difference in the end. It's going to take way too much time. Each one of these meals has about 441 calories and 29 grams of protein, so it's fairly light on the calorie side. If you wanted to add more volume to this, adding rice is the most obvious and easiest way to do so. I will include the full written recipe for this Japanese curry in the description of this video below. You can also find it on my website with hundreds of other meal prep specific recipes. Go check it out. See you next week.